What's up, guys? So this is going to be a video that's focused on one of the aspects of surgery, the vertical sleeve gastrectomy surgery, which is acid reflux. So acid reflux is a thing that all of us tend to have after the surgery. If you didn't have acid reflux going into vertical sleeve gastrectomy, or VSG for short, I think this happens with bypass patients too. I'm not certain, but I think it does. But if you didn't have acid reflux, the surgery makes reflux more common. If you did have reflux, which is usually part of the screening questions before you have surgery, you really almost want to consider not having the surgery because the reflux will be very severe. And whenever I had surgery, I was told that I needed to be on 40 milligrams of omeprazole for, he said I could stay on it forever. Um, I don't think that that's a good thing, by the way. I mean, that's another story. It'll be another video. But he said that I could be on omeprazole forever, and because we needed acid reduction. Off the bat from the surgery, I agree with him because whenever you first have your sutures in your stomach's healing, you don't need acid to be in there to erode that. It needs to heal very well. Later in your life, past the healing part, acid in your stomach and acid reflux causes all kinds of issues. So you do need to learn how to control it. Now, most people don't. I would say that from the people I've talked to in the various groups that I belong to online and people that I know in life, they don't really try to control their acid reflux. They just use pills. So, and that's the same thing that I did for the first 4 years, essentially. And I was taking the omeprazole 40 milligrams almost every single day. If I missed a day, usually it's just because I forgot. But very soon I'd have the heartburn creep in, and it would remind me that I need to take that omeprazole. PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, are very, very strong medicine, and they reduce the acid in your stomach, which we think is a good thing because we have that pain associated with reflux. And so when you lay down to go to sleep at night, you'll have that acid come into your throat. You'll belch the acid throughout the day, and that causes all kinds of problems from acid. The problem with that is that acid is essential to absorb certain nutrients. One of those nutrients, first and foremost, is B12. So I don't know about you guys who did or didn't have the surgery, but whenever you have the surgery, they tell you that you're going to be essentially on multivitamins for the rest of your life. And I'm okay with that. I think that people need multivitamins anyways. Most of us don't get all the nutrition that we need from our food, especially if you're not health conscious and you don't eat healthy food to begin with. You just eat food and hope you get, hope for the best. Most people are B12 deficient because B12 would have come naturally from the soil and the bacteria that was in the soil back whenever we ate organic fruits and vegetables and organic foods and beef that wasn't farmed the way it is now. So just because of all of that and because of the nature of our current world, a lot of people are B12 deficient. So that's why a lot of foods, a lot of dairy, a lot of grains, cereals, a lot of things are fortified with B12, with vitamin B12, because it's absolutely essential. It's essential to your central nervous system. It's essential to your nerves, your brain cells, your energy, focus. There's a lot of things that are associated with B12. So I've been taking a B12 supplement since day one, and it's a sublingual. It's sprayed under the tongue, which, by the way, I really, really highly advise and advocate for B12 sublinguals or injections and not B12 pills so much. And the reason why is this reason. This is why we have to take B12. When we take the acid blockers, acid helps, when you have stomach acid, it helps to absorb and break down B12. It also helps you break down and absorb calcium and magnesium. So there's a lot of nutrients, by the way. I'm just thinking of the biggest ones that should be red flags for you, because calcium and magnesium lack will lead to osteoporosis and all kinds of issues. B12, cognitive decline, lots of cognitive decline. So those are problems because if you don't have enough stomach acid to break them down adequately and absorb them, you won't get it. So when we take proton pump inhibitors or acid blockers, it's good because we're reducing the acid, and that's great, but it's bad because we're reducing our ability to break down and absorb tons of nutrients. So being a lifelong subscriber or pill taker to acid blockers isn't a good thing. It should be a short-term thing and not be a long-term life solution unless you're going to inject vitamins. This is why I say that the B12 is best absorbed if you get it injected or you get it sprayed under your tongue. I use the under the tongue spray, and every single time I have a B12 blood test done, it's great. It's around 750. I'll take a picture and link a picture to the vitamin B12 spray that I use. I don't think that the one that I use is the best that there is. I mean, I think it's the best, that's why I buy it. But I think that any sublingual spray will work. The reason, again, is because you'll not absorb vitamins and pills that you ingest as well because of the lack of the stomach acid if you're on proton pump inhibitors or omeprazole, Nexium, or Prilosec, or whatever it is, because they eliminate that acid which is necessary to absorb the B12 and the other vitamins that you take in your Centrum, your one a day, your whatever, Flintstones. So, proton pump inhibitors, acid blockers, we need them at the beginning because we need our stomach to heal. After that, you should really focus on trying to reduce stomach acid naturally. How do you do that? You have to change your diet. You have to find ways that, I looked into what's called the alkaline diet, because stomach acid is overproduction of stomach acid is a result of having too much acid in your system. Maybe you're consuming foods that trigger acid for you. So I did that. I ate a lot of foods. I tailored my diet to foods that don't trigger stomach acid as much, and therefore I do get enough of my own natural production of stomach acid, which you need from the foods that you eat. You need it to break it down correctly. You need to absorb those nutrients correctly. If we're taking those acid blockers all the time, we're malabsorbing foods. And that's what's causing a lot of our issues post gastric bypass or vertical sleeve or duodenum or XY or switch or whatever it is. We need stomach acid. Stomach acid is not the enemy. Excessive stomach acid is the enemy. It keeps us up at night, burns our throat, can cause esophageal cancer. So, in a nutshell, I would look into ways to reduce stomach acid. Look at foods that trigger it. When I came off of omeprazole, which I've been off of for almost a month now, when I came off, I had incredible acid reflux because when you stop them, your body responds with a rebound effect by overproduction. So then my body started producing stomach acid to anything. I'm talking if I had a little salt, if I had a little anything. So essentially now I'm at the point where I do take a stomach acid, a natural stomach acid reducer, and it's not a reducer as much as it's a natural agent, a base against it, so that there's not excessive amounts, because you need stomach acid. So I'm definitely getting stomach acid because I'll have still some issues through the day, but I'll take a couple of Tums and they're fine. Then it goes down. I don't eat past 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30 or 8 on some nights, because 3 hours prior to when you lay down is where you're going to cause that acid to come into your throat. So I don't eat. I might drink a little bit of water. I might drink a shake or have something extremely light, but definitely any hearty foods like a fish or a meat or any heavily spicy food. I avoid most of the spices now anyways. There's only a handful of spices that I can eat that won't trigger it. For me, for the most part, it's the seed spices, like even cayenne pepper, any kind of pepper. It's a seed that's been ground. I don't drink caffeine anymore. Caffeine's a big trigger of it. I barely do any dairy anymore. Dairy's a trigger for acid reflux. So B12 and acid reflux, there's a big dance there. I do the spray so that it's always absorbed into my bloodstream under my tongue. I try to get my nutrition through my food now, but that requires stomach acid to break it down, so I don't take any more omeprazole. So it's a big deal. You'd want to talk to your doctor about it. So I mean, don't take everything that I'm explaining to you as you know, the bottom line. You really need to discuss it with your nutritionist. Did I discuss it with my nutritionist? No, I didn't, because every time I go in, they're going to tell me you need to eat all this, you need to eat that, you need to eat that, and you know, I discovered that those things would trigger it for me, and they said, well, you just need to take your acid blocker, and I'm not going to. I find that I'm doing much better now, absorbing my nutrients better. I feel better. My motivation, my energy is starting to come back with less medical intervention. So I'm not against pills at all. I know that they have their place, but I think that they're excessive. I think that if you're going to be on something for the rest of your life, there better be a damn good reason. If you can naturally avoid it, I think you should, because your body and your natural foods are better for you, in my opinion, than to be on a prescription for the rest of your life. If you have to be on it, you have to be on it. But the question is, do you really have to be on it? So again, I lowered mine. I'm taking a one a day that helps bring it down a little bit by natural means, not by suppression. Proton pump inhibitors stop that mechanism in your stomach. These pills that I take are essentially concentrated orange. So I'll link them. I'll link a picture to them. And you can take, I don't think it matters where you get the source from it. I'll link my B12 that I take personally, which gives me great values. Even when I was on proton pump inhibitors, I got the 750, 725 range, which is awesome. So you have to have those things. And the calcium, the magnesium, I just make sure now that my multivitamin has those in them. Some people will consume that with dairy. If you can tolerate dairy, I can't. It will trigger acid reflux for me, so I don't. So, but I do eat it in foods like greens, cruciferous greens. So anyways, I hope that helps you understand the acid blocker B12 relationship and why it's important to not be on acid blockers for the rest of your life unless you medically have to. So there you go. Hope that was informative. See you next video.